Right now I'm sitting in the Hog Capisco. It's a very unique chair, and if you've ever seen my guitar collection, you know I'm not afraid of unique looking things. I've never seen anyone discuss this chair from a guitarist or music producer standpoint, but whenever I'm in the world and I see a chair that doesn't have traditional armrests, my first thought is, I wonder if that will be comfortable for guitar playing. Comment below if you do that too. But anyway, the lack of traditional armrests got me interested, and I also have a few maybe chronic injuries related to guitar playing and sitting for too long, so I'm always on the hunt for a better chair, and I'll explain more as we go. So there's 3 things about this chair I think are really worth discussing. 1, the general shape. 2, what the shape allows, and 3, the overall adjustability. Actually, there's also a 4th thing, and I think that's the most important, but I'll save that for the end of the video. Stick around until then. So starting with the general shape of the chair, you can see it's pretty unique looking. The seat has a saddle design, which encourages you to sit with your legs spread, and the back also has a very unique T-shape. One thing to note is that the chair looks a lot smaller in pictures than it really is in person. The seat and back actually have a pretty substantial surface area. For reference, I'm about 6 feet tall, 190 pounds as of today, and my butt, hips, and back have plenty of space in the chair overall. And I would also say that the general shape in the standard seated position is very, very comfortable. Story time. So a couple of years ago, my schedule is basically sit and play guitar for a bunch of hours, sit and record guitar lessons for a bunch of hours, ride my bike to the gym, squat a mediocre amount of weight, bike home, sit and work some more, and some type of evening walk. You'd think that being physically active, 10,000 steps a day plus biking plus working out, would keep my body healthy. But this actually messed up one of my hip muscles. If you think about it, all of those activities, squatting, walking, sitting, biking, they all work to shorten the muscles in the front of the hips the exact same way. And of those activities, sitting was obviously the most common. So over a couple of weeks, I started to feel my hip get tighter and tighter, and I would stretch it out at the end of the day, so I assumed I was fine. And then one day, I got up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom, and as I took a few steps, the muscles in the left side of my hip spasmed, my knee violently came up to my chest, and I fell over. And I could not unlock my leg from this position. Long story short, I was wrongly diagnosed with FAI, but that's basically when I started to experiment more with uniquely shaped chairs. During that time, when I was having the hip issues more frequently, I found that saddle seats dramatically relieve pain in my hip, and I find them very comfortable even if you don't have any hip pain. So you might give a saddle seat like this one or a different one a shot, and honestly, the back of this chair is also very comfortable. It gives you the right amount of support and cushion exactly where you would want it. Now, as you can see, this chair doesn't have any traditional armrests, so we can sit with a guitar in a normal position fairly comfortably. Also, at the base of the chair where the wheels are, we have a nice footrest, a short footrest, but you can also get this chair with a foot ring installed on the bottom, which is really nice because guitar players often like to sit with their legs propped up. So we can prop our right leg and sit like this, which is how I like to sit. Or if you want to go traditional classical playing, you can prop up your left leg and put the guitar between your legs like this. Overall, playing a guitar in this chair when you're sitting in the traditional chair position, it's very, very comfortable, and I think you'll find it comfortable as well. Okay, so the general shape of the chair is great, but this shape actually has another purpose. The chair is designed to encourage you to explore different positions as you sit for extended periods of time. Most of these positions won't be good for a guitar for obvious reasons, but when you're sitting and editing videos or working on mixing a 3-minute track for 3 months, well, then you have a lot of positions to explore. More on that later. By the way, I'm not just doing this for the YouTube video, I actually sit in all of these different positions throughout the day, and it's really, really comfortable. In fact, even though I said that most of these positions are not great for playing the guitar, my favorite position, which is great for playing the guitar, is a kind of strange. I sit kind of halfway between the chair, and I wedge myself into this back corner, and then I recline like all the way back like this. Now, I won't sit like this and play for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours at a time, but sometimes I'll throw on like a 10-minute YouTube video and sit like this and just noodle around, and I find it really comfortable. But this slightly different position where I'm basically sitting in almost a traditional way with my right leg elevated on the ring and fully reclined, I will sit like this for a while and play guitar, maybe 30 or 45 minutes. And the third aspect of this chair is the customization, which I really love. You can choose different fabrics and colors and textures all on the site. And you can also select the exact height adjustability you would like. So for example, I use a sit-stand desk and I can use the chair in a normal height like it is right now. Okay, I'm not going to adjust my camera. Point being, I can extend the chair all the way up so that now it's like a high stool for when I want to have my desk in a higher position. So we have up and down for height adjustability, and then we can move the seat itself forward and back. So for example, if you want to sit this way with your legs poked through, you can have the seat have enough space for your legs to fit. We can move the back of the seat both up and down as well. And then we have the recline function. So we can lock the chair in place if we always want to sit upright, but I like to unlock mine so I can rock back and forth. And again, I know this looks pretty crazy, but one of my favorite positions is to recline all the way back and then prop my legs up on the ring. I call this the squatty potty position, but really it's super comfortable. And the last thing that I want to mention is that you shouldn't be worried about all of these options really. So for example, I leave the back piece the same height. I leave the seat the same position forward or backwards. I always have it with the ability to recline. And the only thing that I adjust throughout the day is the height of the seat itself. So to conclude, I want to take a moment to discuss why how we sit is so important. And if you give me just a couple of minutes, I promise I'm going to blow your mind. So before this chair, I would basically just use a sit-stand desk plus a chair plus a stool, and I would move between those different positions throughout the day. And now I use the Capisco chair almost every day alongside my stool and a more traditional office chair. So yes, I have 3 different chairs that I use throughout the day. I know some of you might be thinking it's a bit excessive to have 3 different styles of chair in one small office, but I honestly believe this should be normalized. So again, give me a couple of minutes. Here comes the mind-blowing part, I promise. It's of course important to be physically active. I would say the average physically active person might spend 5 to 15 hours a week doing some type of physical activity, but you probably wouldn't spend all 15 hours just bench pressing because you'd overwork your chest and the rest of your body would fall apart. We know it's really important to mix up our physical activities. So we might lift weights on Sunday, do a nice long walk and some restorative yoga on Monday, BJJ Tuesday, and so on. And that's how we divide 5 to 15 hours over the course of a week. Now, by contrast, a professional athlete does physical activity for 25 to 35 hours a week, so they have to be even more careful with how they use their bodies. If you just swing a golf club for 35 hours a week, your body is going to fall apart. And finally, we have the average American who works at least 40 hours a week, and most of us work a lot more than that. And for a lot of us, 40 of these hours are spent in the exact same position and the exact same chair. God forbid, after your 40-hour work week, you sit in your home studio and work on your music hobby for another 10 hours. So we're now up to 50 hours a week of sitting in the exact same position and the exact same style of chairs. That's the sitting workload of 2 professional athletes. Average knowledge worker today is a sitting specialist, a professional sitter, but we don't vary how we sit. It's a recipe for disaster. Ooh, I just found that position. It's very comfortable. Our right leg down, left leg up and folded, and then our arms back. That's really nice. I honestly think the Capisco chair can go a long way to solving the sitting problem. So even if you don't want to have 3 different chairs like me, using something like the Capisco plus a sit-stand desk because you do want to stand throughout the day, that alone can give you a healthy amount of variability throughout the day and throughout the week. This